Yes, sir.
I was wondering, you've used the term elsewhere of new fusion politics. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
First of all, fusion politics is a future that the extremists cannot stop. They may try to delay it, but they cannot stop. The reality is in North Carolina, for instance, we are now, African Americans are 25% of the electorate. Latinos are 3%. That's 28%. Which means if you get 22% of whites and progressive, working class white people to vote their future, not their fears, it's a new electorate. Yeah. The electorate that elected President Obama, not President Obama, but the electorate was a representation of fusion politics. I believe it signaled the beginning of a third Reconstruction because his electorate, remember, he lost 65 counties in North Carolina. He won 35. He lost on election day, but he won during the same day registration, early voting. What did that electorate look like? Black, white, Latino, brown, Asian, Native American, gay, straight, labor, people of faith. It was a broad kind of electorate, a new kind of electorate in the South that so often has been solid South. And I believe that that's one of the reasons you saw a massive attack on voting rights after his election, because in every time that this nation has attempted to reconstruct itself, whether in the 1800s or the 1960s, the first attack to stop it has been an attack on voting rights. That's right. We're hearing tomorrow there's going to be an action in Alabama where people are gathered together on Tuesday on the anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act, a very diverse coalition. We're hearing some conversations about South Carolina, maybe starting some people. People are calling from everywhere. The fusion movements, the reality is the reason these extremists are doing what they're doing is not because we're weak. It's their reaction to our strength. Yes. They are doing what they're doing because we've been successful. They're doing what they're doing because they know if you open up elections and everybody votes, their narrow-minded agenda cannot win. That's why every time they critique the movement, they engage in political paranoia. Because first of all, they can't debate us. Because how do you stand up and say, I just cut 170,000 people's unemployment and that was the moral thing to do? I mean, it puts you in a linguistic trauma. You can't say anything. So they can't debate us. They know if all of us vote, they can't win. So the only thing they can do is try to rig the election and try to distract the movement. So what did they do? The governor, when he was asked, what do you think about tomorrow Monday? He didn't even take his own words. He went all the way back to George Wallace. And he said, they're a bunch of outsiders. That's the exact language that George Wallace used June of 1963. But we're not outsiders. And then Civitas did a study to prove we were outsiders, and their own study backfired. You see? They did, and they even proved not only we weren't all Democrats. We were independents, Republicans, people who are just fed up with people wanting to go backward. One legislator called us morons. The same day that the Methodist bishop and the Episcopal bishop and all these people came out to support Maura Monday. And by the way, now I understand he's under some indictment himself. So, but understand, if you go back in history, whenever people can't debate you on the issues, they start name calling out of fear. That's pure political paranoia. Because they know, watch this, when this hand hooks up with this hand, and this hand hooks up with this hand, grab hand, and all these hands, all these different colors and races and creeds get together, we the people have never been defeated. Never been defeated, never. So, you know, 86 people may have a temporary majority. That's all it takes, 86 in that legislature, 86 people. But there's 7 million of us. And the more we tell people the story, the more they know what's going on, the more people are saying, this is not the North Carolina we want. We do not want to go backwards. We want to go forward together. So this movement is afoot. And they can't stop it. They can do some delays. You know, and as I close today, some media say, well, they won the vote. Well, George Wallace won a vote, but I think ultimately he lost. Lester Maddox lost. Yes. I mean, read history. The segregationists lost. The abolitionists won. Yes. You know, all the folks. So when McCory, Tillis, and Berger decide they want to be the George Wallaces of the 21st century, they need to get some of these teachers to teach them history. So they're lining up. When Apodaca calls a movement like this crap, he better read history. He better read history. Because those who have done that down through the histories, they've only had a day. But ultimately, justice and love and righteousness wins. And when you add into the mix faith, not as an abstract, but ask any people standing there saying, we've walked by faith. Yes, talk to Elder Hayes and ask him what he's been through and how he had to keep the faith. Ask Ms. Coleman, ask some of these women, ask people what the faith is not some flimsy thing. We're the real conservative Christians. Because we want to conserve love. We want to conserve justice. We want to conserve righteousness. And we want to conserve the kind of hope that believes every crucifixion must be followed by a resurrection.
Yes, sir.
And so that's where we're headed. We are the beginning of the resurrection and the renewal of fusion movements and the righteous coalition in North Carolina and in the South. And you change the South, you change the nation.